Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Didn't get as many videos out as I wanted this week. It's been for a number of reasons. Some of the videos I'm working on have just taken a very, very long time. Range Versus obviously took a little bit. There's a Final Fantasy XI video I'm working on, covering the latest story and how far it's gotten, sort of as like a catch-up, since it's probably going to be finishing up in the next several months, I'd like to imagine. So, just letting people know who haven't played 11 how that's going. Make It Rain campaign's coming. I wanted to make a quick video and a kind of a reminder guide on that for great ways to get MGP. That should hopefully be done pretty quick. But this week, I was busy with that. But then this weekend, I haven't had any time. Saturday went right from Xenoblade Chronicles into Ultimate into what did I do? Then I was helping Phase Temperance with a healer podcast. And then I was on the Wolves League, which is the PvP league that I've been helping Shoutcast on the weekends. And their all the matches went 5 games. So even though I only casted 2, it ended up going, a lot longer, so I didn't have any time. Then today is Sunday when I'm recording this. Newsflash, this is recorded on a Sunday, not a Monday. Just finished stream recording this and then actually going out to dinner with my girlfriend. So basically no time to get anything done throughout the weekend. So hopefully I'm going to get around to that. I also maybe want to see if I can grab some highlight footage of some of my shoutcasting from the Wolves League. Mostly because I don't want to take the content from the Wolves League, but I got to talk to +1 and see if that's something he's okay with. I think it'd be cool just so people can see exactly what's going on with the Wolves League, so they can see what the community run tournaments are looking like and maybe get a little more invested in those. So that's where I'm at. I actually peeked ahead and saw there weren't too many questions, so this is probably going to be a pretty short video. Remember, you can ask questions in the comment section below. That's how I go ahead and check them. So with that, let's get into the questions. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon as well. They don't have to support. All my content's free. They just choose to. And yeah, thanks to all of them. So with that, let's get to the questions. Question number 1, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy, hope you're doing well. Tired, but I think the food I'm going to have later is going to make me feel better. I was curious if you've ever played Hiroshi Takai's Last Remnant. Last Remnant. Have I played Last Remnant? The answer is yes, but I'm trying to remember, because there's 2 games I always get mixed up, and both of them I've played, not all the way through, mind you, but I have played them. I think Last Remnant the one that just re-released, or was Last Remnant the one on Xbox? Yeah, Last Remnant Remastered. So I have played bits and pieces of Last Remnant. I never really got too deep into it. It came out at kind of a bad time. So even though I was semi-interested, I just never got around to it. It didn't really hook me in the first hour or 2 either, which was relatively unfortunate. But given I don't really have a fair judgment of it. I thought it looked really cool. I just wasn't hooked immediately, and I was really busy. So I know about it. I played bits and pieces after the remaster came out, but not anything all the way through. I'm excited though, because this is in reference to the fact that Hiroshi Takai is the director of Final Fantasy 16. I'm excited because I think he's somebody who thinks big. And I think with 16 they want to go big, but I think they also I think Yoshi P's the one there to kind of rein them in and make sure that it's still going to be a quality product. I think the main reason why Yoshi P gets a lot of praise is not because he directly does anything super crazy or innovative. It's more so just how he acts as a leader. I think a lot of people appreciate. And among the things that he tries to do is he tries to stop bad ideas from getting out. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes the team thinks it's going to work and they find out that it doesn't. And that could happen with 16. That could happen with any element of 16. It could happen with any element of any game. But I think him as that last sort of filter of what we're going to get always makes it so we probably won't have anything like a Last Remnant questionable progression system, which is also more indicative of the era Last Remnant was made in. There was really this weird craze with RPGs of trying to push them out of traditional turn-based through a number of different means. Even if they stayed turn-based, they wanted them to almost be indistinguishable. I don't think we have that nowadays. I think they're pretty set in stone with the action combat that they want in Final Fantasy 16, and the progression systems will probably follow and be relatively straightforward. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. I don't know why I said hey when you said hey, but you know what? I just gave it some oomph. Hope you're having a really good time. Like I said, the food later. I think that'll do it. So recently played Crystal in Crystalline Conflict Ranked. I'm assuming you meant you got to the Crystal rank. I don't intend to do anything anymore, as all I wanted was the Framer kit. I was Excuse me. Curious, however, is there any indication that placing Crystal will get the framer kits for all prior ranks? So it doesn't explicitly say that. So I'm going to say no. I initially I thought we probably would, but you know, the more I've thought about it, the less I think likely it is. You know, I do agree. Some of the earlier framer kits look nice and are arguably better than some of the later framer kits. So I think we are only going to get the framer kit for where we placed, but I would like it to retroactively give all of them, even if it's basically touting a rank lower than what I actually earned. So we'll see is, I guess, at the end of the day, the answer. Now, I said there weren't a lot of questions. I think there's only like 8 or 9, and this is already the 3rd question. So just to give you an idea of how long... I mean, you can see the video length. Why am I saying this to you? Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, I hope you're doing well. Hi, I hope the same to you. You mentioned Dragoon as a class that basically is at a tipping point for getting a redesign. I was wondering if you thought Black Mage was hitting that tipping point soon. Yoshi P himself, last expansion in Shadowbringer, said that Black Mage was hitting that tipping point. They managed to find a way to keep it, you know, kind of the same identity, what they did with Paradox and the extra Xenoglossy stack and Amplifier. I thought that was a very creative way of just kind of adding things without really going too nuts. But yeah, no, Black Mage also at that potential tipping point. Yoshi P himself has acknowledged that. And what they end up doing with Black Mage in the future is going to be interesting. There's so many directions that you can go with a lot of jobs. I mean, we've seen them completely turn jobs around into identities that don't necessarily conflict with what they were originally, but are also so incredibly different. Sometimes that's worked and sometimes that hasn't. You know, Heaven's Ward Bard was completely different from A Realm Reborn, but then Stormblood was still completely different from both A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward. And that identity has really carried through well, even in Shadowbringers when I wasn't that big a fan of Bard. You know, the identity was still like really, really sound and had lots of room to build on. So the question will be when will they do this for Black Mage? And if they don't, you know, other than slapping more instant casts onto it, slap another timer on them to manage, like, you know, another dot or something, which, let's be honest, they definitely won't do another dot of all things. What do I think 7.0 Black Mage will look like? I don't know. I think a lot of what Black Mage does now will always stay. I think the whole ice fire thing back and forth is unlikely to ever move, but where they actually go from there is tough. It could be just a rework of Polyglot and making it something a little bit different to force a change of flow in the way the job works. Maybe lean more into the Ice Fire thing with Paradox, where you have a lot more combined element spells to manage. Maybe like a Flash Fire 4 or a, I don't know, with Blizzard, what do you call it? Yeah, let's call it Flash Fire 4 or something like that, where it's, you know, an ice and fire equivalent of your super nuke that only activates after you use triple cast. So making sure that you use triple cast on fire 4s instead of using them on despairs like you do now, you know, that would be a shakeup. But again, that would still really ultimately change the way it plays. I think that there's still kind of room for them to avoid a tipping point, but it's going to be something super subtle like we saw with Endwalker. But it's getting risky with Black Mage. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Wanted to start by saying I'm very happy for your mother. Thank you. Yeah, that's been a huge relief. Whenever I always, what I think I've said this almost every week when somebody said that, the number one reason I know she's doing better is because she answers her phone. You know, and you don't have a lot of money, and every time your phone rings, it's a debt collector or a bill collector or something like that. You start leaving your phone off, and she doesn't do that anymore because she's in a much, much better position. And that's all still thanks to everyone here. And that puts me obviously in a much better position as well. Continue to enjoy the content you put out. Hoping to ask a question this week. Sorry, don't mean this in a disparaging way. I'm genuinely curious as to the topic. All right, let's see if this is a heated question then. With that said, Machinist and Hyping get a lot of comments in your videos with speaking about adjustments, and ask to make adjustments to accommodate players with bad connection seems to be a frequent call to arms. However, I struggle to think of a fast-paced game out there that designs around players with bad internet. Most game designers have put together actions, rotations, and flows that account for stable, consistent connection. Here specifically, they probably get an idea of how they want the job to work, account for the middle-of-the-road internet speed and ping, and then implement. Same goes for mechanics. Why should this be any different? The problem is, on Machinist, if you have middle-of-the-road ping, that is bad ping for Machinist. If you're over like 80, it starts to get a little bit scary, but if you're over 120 or over 150, it really, really starts to get bad. And you can be living in the United States, on the East Coast of the United States, connecting to the North American data center, or in that case, even Europe, and you don't have good enough ping to play it comfortably on either. In my opinion, that's unacceptable. I could understand if somebody was like trying to play from like South America or, you know, somewhere, you know, trying to connect from Europe to NA and it not working super smoothly. Like you kind of get it at that point. You know, it can't function super well at like 220, 280. That's a little bit unreasonable. Still doable, but something that they probably wouldn't consider. But when somebody living in their own country can't play a job because the servers happen to be on the other side of your own country, that is a bit of a problem. Playing with 120, 140, 160 ping, and all of a sudden it's unplayable. And there's no way for you to improve that. That's not a matter of getting better internet. You're obviously not going to move to play the game. And it shouldn't be that you're just completely eliminated from playing a job because you happen to live on the wrong coast. So those are that's the biggest problem with Machinist, is you can't even have middle of the road ping and play it comfortably most of the time, despite their claims that you can. I can most assuredly tell you that you cannot, or you can't play it the same way that somebody on the other coast plays it. Oh, this one actually didn't have a hashtag, but I'll grab it. Hey, Mr. Happy, hope you're having a good day. Food later will do it. What is your opinion on glamour mods, which only change the look? I mean, I don't really care, but the whole point of, if this is in regards to the video I made, the video I made pretty clearly just goes over the rules. It covers almost everything. There's still a couple of questionable things in there, but I mean, everyone saw, right? Everyone made a big hoopla about the bans and the mods and all that shit. And what happened? 4chan, 5chan got tired of going after people, and like, you don't hear about it anymore. Exactly what everyone expected to happen. There were a couple of bans that went out, and that was the end of it. And the topic got completely dropped like it never happened. I told everyone that's what would happen when ultimately this didn't change how anyone was going to do it. You might have some people playing it safer and maybe playing without mods on stream, but everybody else is still going to do it almost exactly the same. So I don't care about mods like that unless people are being really fucking creepy about it. Like I remember on Twitter, I don't remember what I was posting. I was talking about something on Twitter, and somebody responded to one of my tweets and told me that I was what was wrong with the 14 community and I was an abomination or something like that. And their Twitter was literally full of like Lalafels with tits modded on them and like Lalafel porn. And the irony is staggering. The number of people who that can apply to, who do weird things, but then also have these like super bad takes, is I just don't know how people like that function. I really, really don't. But as long as you're not being weird about it, and you know what? I will say this. If you're posting them and you get banned, don't be surprised. That's it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope all is well with yours. Thank you. Longtime watcher, longtime Twitch lurker. Okay. I know you're not a big fan of mentors. Listen, no, I'm not a big fan of the system because it lets bad mentors run rampant. Very specifically. There are good mentors out there. So wondering if you ever had any experience in using the system or as a mentor yourself. No, I refuse. I refuse to participate in a system that's completely broken. I spend my entire Twitch and YouTube time already helping people. I don't need a crown to do it. I don't need an extra queue to do it either. I don't need a mount promised after X amount of roulettes. I just help people. Couple more comms I'll be able to apply for mentor. I've been debating whether or not I want to. I do want the reward since I'm a big collector, but if you want to help people, do it. If you just want the rewards and that's the only reason you're doing it, I would advise against it because you will very quickly get a bad reputation. And I'm going to tell you right now, even if you are a good mentor, it is an uphill battle for your reputation because a lot of people, not just myself, do not feel very positively about the crown or the people who wear it. It's just, it's insane how much more frequently I run into issues with people who are mentors than anybody else in the game. I just don't know why that ends up being the case. So bear that in mind. You probably will run into some issues becoming a mentor, once you are one, I should say. But if you do genuinely want to help people, you shouldn't shy away because that's how you make the system better. So I wish you the best of luck. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good day, Mr. Happy. Hope you're having a decent day and enjoying yourself. Same to you. Let's see. My question for you is in regards to Breath of Fire. Oh, boy. Might have answered this, but I don't remember. I know you said you didn't like Breath of Fire because you played like 4 or something. Did you ever try? No, I played Dragon Quarter. I rented Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter. It's the only Breath of Fire game I've ever played. and I have never played a Breath of Fire game since, and I did not finish that one because, well, no. So no, I haven't played any of the other ones. I have no desire to play the other ones, not because I inherently think they're bad games, but when you've played a game and it's left such a kind of a bad taste in your mouth, and it's part of a series, you know how you kind of just don't really feel like playing a lot of the rest of the series, or it's a real struggle to convince yourself to play the rest of the series? Yeah, that's Breath of Fire for me. I just won't say anything about the other games because it would be an uninformed opinion to say anything about anything but Dragon Quarter. I had the same issue with Xenoblade Chronicles. I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and you know what? I released a review on YouTube of that, desperately trying to be objective, like saying like people could like these things. Somebody might like these things. These could be redeeming factors for the game. But if anything, I've just made myself hate that game more and more and more. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game I will never play again for the rest of my life. I have so many bad things to say about it. So it took me forever to finally play Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And I'm playing it now. And you know what? Yeah, there are too many side quests. But other than that, it's been pretty good. I'm having a good experience with Xenoblade Chronicles 1. So, but it took me over a year and a half. I've had the physical copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. It was given to me as a gift. And I just refused to play it for so long because I was just like, I'd rather do something else. But I'm glad I'm finally getting around to it. And I'm glad I'm enjoying it because otherwise I'd just stop playing it and I wouldn't buy Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But we'll see what happens with 3. But for Breath of Fire, maybe one day, but I won't make any promises. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi there. Hi. Hope you're well. Same to you. I was going to say same. Hope I'm well. Long-time watcher, first-time asker. My question concerns botting in Eureka. The same group of... Oh, yeah. I hear about this is really bad on JP and on EU. Just bots and bots. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. The fact that this has gone unanswered for so long, it does kind of make me... So sometimes I'm able to get interview slots with Yoshi P. And I haven't done one in a while. Last one was Mediator, I believe. But I kind of want to use a slot on that where I just want to just talk about how the response... It's a big thing that a lot of people wonder how I go about asking the questions because I feel like I don't ask questions the same way other people ask questions. People look for very direct answers from Yoshi P. I prefer to get him to an answer by making him talk about what needs to be done. So, for example, if I were to ask Yoshi P a question about... there seems to be a major botting problem on some data centers, such as Light and one of the JP Mana or something. In regards to Eureka, there are a large number of players who are botting the bunnies in there. The what are they called? Elemental conflicts. Botting the elemental conflicts in there to farm the items from the chests and just to earn gil. And while many people report them, they don't seem to be being punished or banned. How is the special task force trained to deal with botting related incidents such as this? So essentially getting him to answer a question about the training and the detection of these things almost kind of separately forces him to answer the question because he needs to explain it in such a way that makes us confident in the system. And if he can then think of any sort of flaw in it, or if he feels like a flaw has been brought to his attention while he's explaining that from the question itself, it usually yields a better answer. So that's the kind of question I would ask. And it's the kind of question I might ask because it's actually something I think a lot of people want to know about botting in general. And in Eureka, it's just ridiculous. So maybe I'd like to know too, but I don't know what else you can do other than keep reporting. It just goes unpunished for way too long. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, hi. Hope all is well. Thanks. You too. Do you plan on making edited versions of the PvP League you co-cast? Oh, I think did I just talk about this earlier in this video? I was thinking about this before the video. I probably talked about this at the start of the video too. Yeah, so if I didn't say it before because I already forgot what I said at the start of the video, I might do that, but I only want to do moments of my shoutcasting. The big thing is I have a huge stigma with being a part of other people's content and then using it as my content, especially without their permission. So I obviously wouldn't do something like this without talking to +1 first. And I am hoping to make a highlight reel of some of the big plays before the finals kick off on June 11th. because I want to build some excitement. I want to get a few more people interested. I want to use it semi as a trailer for the Wolves League, and you know, just show him as the host and his Twitch channel and all that. So the answer is I want to. I'm going to see about that this week. I'm actually going to DM him about it after I'm done with this video, because I know he's planning some stuff for tonight. So we'll see, because I think it could be a lot of fun to add that stuff to the YouTube channel. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Hap. I don't know why. I wanted to say Haps, but then I read it said Happy, and I just cut it off midway. I hope everything you're doing is all right. I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. My question is a bit unrelated to 14. It's about From Software's iconic Souls games. Which ones are your favorite? Which ones are your least favorite? I don't care about Dark Souls 2. And honestly, I've never gotten around to playing Sekiro. But from a conceptual standpoint, for the reasons I play FromSoft games, I think I'd like it, but I think in terms of like the reason I play it, it might not match up well for me against a lot of the other Souls titles. I'm not a huge fan of playing as a set character and not really having any variety in the weapons. Yes, obviously you have your arts and you have it's not that you don't get any new tools throughout the game, but you are essentially kind of encouraged to play the game a specific way in order to get through it. And for me, that takes a lot of excitement out of it. Even if I would end up liking the game, it just, from a Souls perspective, I think it would rank lower for me. But Dark Souls 2, I don't care for at all. And Demon Souls is kind of 50-50. I was glad I finally got to play it, but a lot of the bosses and the world tendency mechanic, they're indicative of it being the first game in FromSoft's Souls-ish or Soulsborne era of gaming. Although I'd argue, dude, Armored Core is just as much a Soulsborne as any of their Souls. I mean, obviously people are going to go back to, what is it, King's Quest or whatever it is. They're like OG one. But I mean, like, their mainstream Soulsborne popularity, you know. That's definitely indicative of being a first game. Bloodborne is my favorite, but without a 60 FPS version, it really sucks to play nowadays, especially after playing Elden Ring. And if not for, until 60 FPS Bloodborne comes out, technically Elden Ring is my favorite. But as soon as 60 FPS Bloodborne comes out, it'll go back to being on top. I love the Lovecraftian setting. I love the gameplay. I love the different weapons. I love everything about that game. I will say it is still somewhat closer to, I guess, Sekiro, in that there are, I feel like, less ways to play, if that makes sense. But there's enough variety in there that I usually, I really enjoy Bloodborne. So looking forward to that at some point. All right, I've tried to stretch these answers out because I guess I misremembered how many there are. There still aren't that many more, but even still, there were a few more questions than I thought. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Same. I watched your recent patch notes video about PvP, and you mentioned some dedicated PvP matches / pros. Are there any good ways to get involved? Personally, I've enjoyed a lot of what 14 has to offer, but I've struggled finding a place. So there are PvP discords for pretty much all of the data centers. I couldn't point you to any in particular. I'm only part of like the Ether one and like a couple of like side things that aren't too specific, but they're smaller communities. So I would say you really just need to start by trying to find out what your data center's PvP Discord is, and then try to get involved there. So that's where I would recommend starting off. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy, hope you are doing well. Congrats on the ultimate clear. I was watching when it happened and let a rather loud yell as you cleared. It was a great watch. Thanks. I'm glad to have cleared it once. I could really use a second one because I want more weapons. Thanks to your ultimate clear playing as Bard. I've just got it to 90. I'm normally a healer, just started at Fresh Prog for group, and I'm playing healer, but I'm really liking Bard. Can't wait to play more of it. Nice. Question about Bard. I know you said the standard opener for Bard was different in the new Ultimate because there's a big amount of downtime. Well, it's not even the opener so much as what you have to do, how you handle downtime. Like, you have to start your next song a lot of the times before you go into downtime, as opposed to like, you know, just letting a song run its normal course. You can't just do like 42, 42, 50, or I'm sorry, 45, 45, 15, or 42, 42, or 12 or whatever it is. No, it's 42, 42, 50. I don't even remember. I just know that I press ballad when it's got 15 seconds left. That's how I always remember it. So yeah, it's a big amount of downtime. What is the standard opener order of songs for established? I mean, the order is the same. You literally can never do anything except for Minuet into Ballad into Paean. There's no other way to rotate your songs. It would be a complete downside. It's the timing of when you rotate your songs that's very, very important. But you need to use everything in your opener. Your opener doesn't change from the standard opener. It's just that at the end of the first mechanic, or right before the first mechanic actually starts happening, you need to go into your song before the boss becomes untargetable, your next song, even if you're cutting off your previous song by like 15 seconds earlier than you normally would. It just works like that on a lot of parts of the fight. Otherwise, there's major repercussions for it in the later phases in particular. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hope all is well. Same to you. Work with me here. I had more drama with my static this tier than Chuck E. Cheese has poor quality pizza. Hey, listen. I don't have anything. It's really bad. Chuck E. Cheese. Constant revolving door players. General frustrations. Moral tanked. So we disbanded at Flames of Adults and P3S. Lost all drive, touch higher content. I haven't even looked at the sad bird. Complete lack of confidence, motivation. Hit me hard. To the driver, just take failure so damn personally. It ruins your taste. No, I just step away for a month and then I go back with a clean slate. I had to do that with Ultimate of Alexander. My group, week 1, prog was mostly okay, but we had like a member who was seriously like slowing down our prog, like big time, and we were all getting super frustrated. So we actually kicked them going into the second week and picked up somebody who had already cleared from the World First group. And they were subbing in for that second week. And then the very next day, 2 of our members got in a fight. One of them never logged back in. We got another sub that I don't think they were, I don't remember who, actually, was it Rin? It might have been Rin. I think it was Rin. And he did fine, but like their group just couldn't keep it together. The consistency was so bad after both of those things happened. And then on that Friday, the tank left because he was just like, you know what, we literally have gotten nowhere. We've raided all week. And I'm going to be out because this is, I just don't want to do this anymore. So then because at that point we'd lost 3 people, we had basically half subs. I left too. And I just didn't do it for like a month. I didn't go into T again until one of my friends said, hey, we need a range fizz for reclear. Are you busy? And I said, I haven't cleared it. And they said, how far have you been? I said, the very last mechanic. And they were like, oh, well, then just come on. It doesn't matter. Cleared it an hour later. Super easy. I wasn't even that excited. I didn't even post about it on YouTube because it was like, I was just kind of over it. So yeah, take a step back and then come back to it with a fresh mind later. It's like throwing up with, it's like when you've eaten one of your favorite foods, but it makes you sick. And then you just, every time you eat it, you think about throwing up. That's basically the experience you've had. And you just got to give it time and then try again. It's really nothing else to it. I read this question in advance because it says spoiler. It's Shadowbringer spoiler, so I don't care too much. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. What's cooking? Stop. Spoiler question for Shadowbringers. When we enter the first of the beginning, they tell us some time skipping has happened while we entered like a week after Thancred did. For him, 5 years passed. I think it's implied that 100 years have passed since we met Arbert. Well, 100 years have passed since the Wave of Light. Not necessarily since we met him. We don't know how many years after we met him that we actually met Ardbert. We have to assume that it is actually pretty close to that, though. It's probably close to 100 years, if not like 98 or 99. But the end of Shadowbringers, this topic was not mentioned. So there is a line of text that you're missing. Even during 5.0, at the start of Shadowbringers, when we go to the first, they make mention about how the timelines or the rate that time flows is actually kind of close to the source at the point that we go. So while there is actually, when we do all of Shadowbringers or we return to Tataru, she's surprised that we got back so quick. But by stabilizing the ether over in the first, by preventing the calamity from occurring there, we essentially made it so that the time flow is not super inconsistent anymore. And that's all there is to it. So that's what it was. They had already begun to explain that with, again, explaining how the time, like, it was kind of close during, but also by fixing it, we've fixed that sort of altered flow. Hashtag MHM. Hi, Mr. Haps. Hope you're doing well. 3 questions. Okay. One, I want to try out Savage for the first time. May have to do it via Party Finder. We're going to find standard PF strats for your server. So for Lich, I mean, you would just have to Google, like, Party Finder. Well, okay, so your first bet is actually probably go into the Party Finder and see what they're saying. But I would also say you could probably quickly Google like Lich Savage PF Discord or something like that, or like Lich Rating Discord, and they'll usually be listed there. If not, if you go into Party Finder, you get the names of the skills, like if they say like Junebob Intemp, or if they say Paste Bin or something like that, you can usually do a quick Google search and that'll give you the answer. Herd Enmity used to work a lot differently pre-Shadowbringers. Was curious if any fights were significantly impacted. Yeah, basically, tanks had to work for enmity pre-Shadowbringers, and it meant that, you know, if healers had to do a lot of big healing, there was risk that they could pull aggro if certain things weren't done correctly, or if a DPS was too strong in their opener, they could pull aggro in the opener, and that could be kind of rough. So it just meant there was a little bit more management of it. It also made tank swaps a little bit more involved, or they had to be more involved. Especially because there were other enmity tools that weren't even on tanks. Ninja, for example, having Shadewalker and Smokescreen was a really, really big one. But that's it. And now it's just not a bother. They just let you focus on worrying about your rotation and when your defensive timings are. And the basics of tank swapping are really all that's needed at the moment. And 3, any good ways of making go for someone who only has level 90 craft or too damn tired to too tired of the hell that is pentamelting. Yeah, I mean, I just play the game. I don't do crafting or gathering, and I have 300 million gil. I do Unreal every week, and I sell the mounts and minions. I did Eureka when it came out. I did Boja when it came out. I've gathered at the very least, you know, maybe done some leave turn-ins. Those were nerfed, but they're still pretty good, even in Endwalker, the new ones that Endwalker has with the leave turn-ins. Gathering, yeah, Eureka, Boja, what else? And I just do everything as it comes out. Like, I just try to sell stuff when it's new, like EX Primal weapons whenever they release those for, like, crafted versions, or the materials that the Extreme Primals drop, you know, when they're brand new, even if they're not used for weapons yet. They're usually a few hundred K. I just make sure I'm involved in all facets of the game. Treasure maps, always, hunting, selling off materia, and selling tombstone mats, selling bicolor gemstone mats. It's just there's so many ways to do it. You just have to want to put a little bit of time into it, or be thinking that you don't need to keep those things for yourself, and that'll usually cover you. That'll get you millions and millions and millions pretty quick. All right, I think this is actually the last question. I know there were a few more than I thought, but that's fine. You know, over 30-minute video, that's the norm. So we had a normal length Mr. Happy Mondays. It just didn't look like much when I scrolled through. Hey, Happy, hope you're having a super good Monday so far. Now for the question. Hi, by the way. I'm playing Bard for Savage Prog P4S so far this tier, and I cannot shake the feeling I'm not doing enough DPS to support my weight in the party. 6200 DPS, item level 597. Yeah, I think that it depends on the weapon. If your weapon's still a 580 weapon, that's still a little below where you want to be. Oh, my headset's about to run out of battery. I'll fix that after the video is done. After a long day, I forgot to swap it this morning, so that's my bad. Yeah, I mean, the item level of the weapon is the big thing, but I have to assume you have at least a 590 weapon at this point. So yeah, definitely could do with a little bit better. I checked for bad habits and 14 analysis, but it indicates I'm doing my rotation correctly. Not now the feeling just got worse since we recruited a black mage to the party who was doing around 9,600 per pull. How can I justify keep playing Bard for doing 2/3 of work? So first of all, you will be doing less. I'm sure if I pull up logs over here that people do with their when they grab the information out of their chat and do the math very quickly with their calculators or abacus, and that's how we have this information. The median in Bard is 7,300 in P1S. Actually, you just said 6,200, so I'm going to look at P4S. I'm going to look at P4S Part 1 specifically. See 7.5k as the median. Now, you got to remember, first and foremost, if you're not in a 605 weapon, you're going to be doing significantly worse. But it does have the minimum at 6,500 coming out of Bard. So, and then also, I'm not sure if you're talking about your A DPS or your R DPS, because 6,200 A DPS is a perfectly reasonable thing to have. Let me see if I have any of my old calculator... any of my old calculator things to go over, because mine would be from a previous patch altogether. As Fidelos, all bosses, Eric Tony, where is it? Oh, it's because I have to do it by patch 6.0. Here we go. So my NDPS, I have an NDPS here of 6,700. Wait, is this Savage? This isn't Savage, is it? This isn't Savage. As Fidelos, Trials, Dungeons, Aglaya. Is this Savage? I don't think this is. I have no idea. No, actually, this might be Savage. I see the clears are all pretty far apart. Well, no, that day there's a bunch of clears. I mean, can you even look up normal? No, you can. No, highest difficulty, it is Savage. Okay, sorry, I was losing my mind. Yeah, so in full BIS, like I have 6,800 NDPS and 6,700 NDPS, and then like I have a 6,800 ADPS, 7,200. But, you know, I look at some of my really old ones, and I have like 6,078 N DPS and 6389 A DPS. So I guess my real question is, are you talking about your R DPS? Or you're talking about your A DPS, your N DPS? Because your R DPS is the big thing. And your R DPS is going to come down to how well your team synergizes inside buff windows. Bard, very, very heavily dependent on your buff windows. A great example here. On one of my best runs, I had 7200, I had 7270 A DPS, and my R DPS was 8014. But then I have another run here where my A DPS is 7200, 7243, and my R DPS is 8245. That's like another another like 200 over what the other run had in terms of just how much I gained on R DPS alone. And that was just a better run when everyone's buff stacking, with everyone's survivability, with everyone being able to make use of pot windows and stuff. So this is a needs more information question, because you have to understand what you are actually reading when it comes to this number. It's not just your DPS. It's not just whatever your abacus tells you you're doing. You need to factor in the R DPS. Now, if it's 6200 R DPS, meaning it's combining your personal DPS, subtracting the damage you gain from other people's buffs, but then adding to you the damage you gave other people through your buffs, then there's definitely a problem. That could be anything from your team not making good use of 2-minute windows to you making mistakes, even though you say XIV analysis is claiming that you are not doing that. I would not take XIV analysis as an absolute. I would actually watch people's clear VODs who upload to YouTube who say they're doing these kind of numbers and look at what they are doing to try and get to those numbers. Make sure you're potting, make sure you have food. If you're not potting, major downside. I would definitely make sure you're doing that. But this is just a requires more information question. So the best I can do is give you those kind of aspects to analyze and look at, and hopefully you can take from that something that leads you to a reasonable conclusion. But I will say this, a black mage is going to be obliterating you. There is nothing that is going to change about that, even in the slightest. Just looking at P4S Part 1, again, not looking at Part 2, a black mage's median is 8535. Oh, I'm sorry, 8181, and the bard median is 7573. So, you know, just on median alone, you're looking at like 700. But I'm sure if I were to look at the black mage's ADPS, which is why I think you are using ADPS, because 9600 sounds like the number your abacus would have and not what the total R DPS was. Because if your black mage had 9600 R DPS, they're like 700 points over the maximum R DPS that's available here. Let me sort by A DPS. Let me do that. Can you sort rank by A DPS? Here we go. No, even then, N DPS maybe. Yeah, even though. Oh no, yeah, I guess actually. You know what? You're probably just looking at your abacus. I would stop doing that. You actually need the logs to be uploaded so you can properly analyze them and using the information I've given you now. There are some replies under that question. Maybe I'll take a look at them. So just to see. Anyway, with that, that's gonna be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. I extended some of my answers to draw it out, and then I ended up not needing to do that. So enjoy the now 40-minute Mondays with Mr. Happy. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in next week's episode, and hopefully we'll have at least 3 or 4 videos coming out this week regarding various topics. So anyway, I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.